It's Tuesday, November 15th. From inside the WTOP newsroom, this is the DMV Download Podcast, brought to you by Steamfitters Local 602. Get an estimate and learn more at steamfitters-602.org. It's a day D.C. area residents, and more specifically Dulles International Airport travelers, have been waiting on for years, if not decades.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, Silver!
And with that, the ribbon was cut, opening the Silver Line extension and Metrorail service all the way to Ashburn, Virginia. WTOP's Nick Iannelli went to the new Dulles Metro station for the opening ceremony.
When you walk into it, you walk past Metro employees who were shaking around bright silver pom-poms.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Luke Garrett. Megan Cloherty's off today. The phrase better late than never really comes to mind here as the Silver Line now takes Metrorail passengers deep into Loudoun County 4 years behind schedule. But this long and winding road to the finish line really didn't blunt the excitement at the opening ceremony at Dulles International Airport. WTOP's Nick Iannelli was there. He joins us now. And Nick, you've had a busy, cold, and rainy day. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Now, the guest list at today's event was pretty impressive. Senators Tim Kaine, Mark Warner were there, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, and the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. But more important than who was there, what did they say about this Silver Line really opening? What does it mean?
What they really said was this is a huge moment for transportation and for people who are just commuting to their jobs.
This metro will allow the father who's working 2 jobs to get home in time to see his kid's soccer game.
So in other words, it's a big day for Northern Virginia with all of the people going to and from work every day. And it's a big day for the region because, as everybody knows, the nation's capital, this area gets travelers from all across the world, millions and millions of tourists,
right,
and employees coming from other countries coming over here. They're going to have this brand new option of taking a train straight from this international airport right into D.C. If they want. They can take it right from Dulles International into D.C. And guess what? They can take it to Reagan National Airport, too, if they need to go to a different airport. So it's a whole new interconnected part of this transportation network in the D.C. region. And all of those local, state, and federal leaders that you mentioned, they all said essentially that same thing. And Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who is a relatively new person in D.C., as everybody knows, he ran for president the last election cycle. He's here, and he's saying that this is just a great thing. And
I think all of us in the DMV have that experience of a friend saying that they're coming to Washington, they're flying in, and you're so excited. I can't wait. I'll be there to greet you when you come. And then there's that little pause. Wait a minute, which airport did you say you're going to be coming to? Awkward pause no more, because it will be easier no matter what.
He said this is another one of those where he's new to it, just as he was when he was mayor. He's new to a project, but he's going to cut the ribbon with a whole bunch of people who came before him who were involved in this really substantial and really long-lasting project.
That speaker list was really long. And, CEO and GM Randy Clark is also relatively new here, but he's now kind of the head of the show. He was emceeing. What did he say, and what was his kind of vibe, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, he's a fresh-faced kind of guy. He's a lot different from the former Metro GM. Not to say the former Metro GM is bad in any way,
sure,
but this guy's got a lot of energy. He seems like he might be a TV show host of some kind. He has that kind of charisma when he was up there on the microphone.
We're ready to celebrate riding the Silver Line, and Bryna for you. All right, there we go. Thank you, everyone.
He knew how to handle a crowd. He knew how to look on camera, and he did a good job. And he threw in a few jokes too. Maybe as the day wore on in the cold weather, maybe he didn't need to do that. But yeah, it was really, really a high energy event. And when you walked into it, you walked past Metro employees who were shaking around bright silver pom-poms.
Wow.
So they turned Metro employees into cheerleaders. It was that kind of day. I'm new to this region myself, Luke. I'm from Wisconsin, and when I say new, I've lived here for about 10 years.
Relatively, yeah, right.
And I use the word new because this project has been going on for decades.
Mm.
So when I was there, I could sense that this was just something that so many people have been working so hard on for so long. And you mentioned that there were two U.S. senators there, the Virginia U.S. senators. Mark Warner, in particular, he told a group of reporters, he said, this is not supposed to take this long.
Mm.
You know, in America, it's not supposed to take this long to build something like this. But at the same time, he said, now that it's done, it's just a really big celebration.
Right. And I was going to ask about that. There's all this pomp and circumstance, but was there kind of like a sober recognition that, wow, this has taken a long time?
Oh, of course. And when you look at the station at Dulles International Airport, I'm sure many people who are hearing this will eventually see it. It looks like a futuristic kind of, it's almost like a cathedral. I know that one of the speakers mentioned that it looked like a cathedral, and I looked around after they said that, and I said, wow, it really does look kind of like that. It is a gorgeous looking structures, gorgeous looking addition to the Dulles International Airport. It doesn't look anything at all like the other stations on the metro system in that it is just really brightly lit. It looks like you're walking into like an office building, a really expensive office building that looks really nice. It doesn't look like a train station necessarily. And when you look at all of that and you think about all of the decades it took, all of the delays, and all of the red tape that it takes to get something like this up and running and then ultimately finished. Yeah, it is a celebration, and it is a recognition of how much work and how many years went into this.
Okay, so let's say I am a DC resident. I don't use Metro a lot, but I do fly out of Dulles a lot. Now that it's open, what do I kind of need to know to be able to take Metro all the way to my flight?
Yeah, Metro says it's going to take about 50 or so minutes to get to the Dulles International Airport from Metro Center. So that's right in the heart of DC. So it's going to take like 50 minutes, so about an hour, let's say give or take an hour, to get out there to Dulles International Airport. If you're at Reagan National Airport, it'll take you more than an hour. Metro estimates that's about 62 minutes from Reagan National Airport to Dulles, which when you think about it is not too bad. If you're going to be sitting in traffic, I mean, try doing that in a really heavy rush hour period. You're probably going to spend a lot of time in traffic. You're going to be stuck staring at brake lights. Nobody likes to do that. So you're going to be moving across in a train. That's much more convenient and a much better ride. And when you get to Dulles International Airport, there's this underground walkway between baggage claim and the station. And that when you walk into that station, I was saying, it looks so bright and so shiny and so new. It's just such a nice area. And you take a walkway that looks like just a really nice and new walkway. You go into the airport, and that whole transition between the train, the walkway, baggage claim, that's about a 5 to 10 minute walk right there.
And not to mention, you talked about kind of time saving with the traffic, but also money. Parking at Dulles is not cheap, nor is taking an Uber there, as a lot of people do. So it's also kind of an economic win probably for the region, or riders, I should say.
Right. And just to give a personal anecdote, just popped into my head. I was at Dulles International Airport. I was coming in from a flight from Seattle a number of years ago, and my flight had been delayed by several hours. And I was supposed to get to Dulles International Airport really, really early in the morning, way before rush hour. But because it was delayed, my flight landed at Dulles International Airport right in the heart of rush hour. And this was pre-pandemic, actually. It was a few years ago. So it was jammed on the roads. So I had this delayed flight, landed at Dulles International Airport, really tired. It was a long flight from Seattle. And then I'm stuck in the heart of rush hour traffic, which was exactly what I did not want. Had this train been here, that's a better option. I would have much rather been on a train moving across the tracks instead of being stuck in gridlock traffic going from Dulles International Airport to my place in Montgomery County. So that's just one of those personal stories that I'm sure tens of thousands of people will eventually have. There's going to be a time when you're at Dulles International and something like that's going to happen, and you're going to go, wow, you're right. I can go on a train now.
Right.
I don't have to sit in traffic anymore. And that's going to be a positive thing for a whole lot of people.
Right. I mean, the idea made so much sense. It just took so long to get here. You know, with all this energy behind this Silver Line fully being opened, you know, ahead of Metro are still a lot of hurdles. There's big budget shortfalls. You know, they're going to have to figure out how to get ridership back. Pre-pandemic, they're still 65% below. Did any leaders mention that, or is today mostly about celebrating the Silver Line?
Yeah, they don't want to talk about that today, but you are right. This is a tough time for Metro. There are so many people working from home. The estimate is something like 40% of DC's region's workforce now works from home on a typical day. And that's all after the pandemic. There was a lot of teleworking happening before the pandemic. Oh, as we all know, the COVID pandemic supercharged the ability of people to work from home, the desire to work from home. And we see that even in the radio business. We talk to people over the airwaves who are in their cars during gridlock. And we hear from people, it's just not the same gridlock that there used to be. And Metro officials are noticing, and they have been noticing for a couple of years now, things are not the same on the rails. So today there was that celebratory atmosphere. Hooray, we got this done. But underneath, yes, you're right. They didn't talk about it very much in their speeches where they were thanking everybody for their decades of hard work, getting this up and running, getting this finally finished. They didn't talk about the serious struggles of the rail system. They have to overcome this major dip in ridership. And will it come back? We don't know. Like I said, in the radio business, we pay attention to people on the roads, to gridlock. We pay attention to that. We don't know. Nobody knows if this massive influx of people working from home will last. Will it last 1 year, 2 years, or forever? Nobody knows. So it's a time of uncertainty, perhaps even some fear within Metro leadership. What are they going to do to make up that shortfall that just happened just in a few years? The pandemic hit us all. It hit Metro really hard. And now they have to figure out how to deal with it. And that's a pretty short amount of time to have to figure out something right when the problem happens. Now you got to figure it out. That's what they're dealing with. You're right about that. They didn't talk about it today because it was a party, essentially.
Right.
But yeah, they got some serious financial issues to deal with, and they have to understand how they're going to survive and continue in a world where potentially they don't have nearly as many commuters on the rails as they did before the pandemic.
Well, Nick, I hate to end on kind of a sad note, but thank you for bringing us kind of to this opening ceremony of the Silver Line and telling us what it means.
Hey, just remember that they had pom-poms. They were waving them around. Don't be sad, okay? It was a big party. It was a lot of fun today.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, thank you.
And coming up after the break, you probably know someone who really wants to go to that Taylor Swift Eras tour. Well, the pre-sale started today, and we talked to someone who got tickets. Yes, they got tickets to the concert. She tells us how. Stick around.
Backed by the experience of its hardworking members, Steamfitters Local 602 is ready to take on your next commercial, heating, cooling, HVAC, or refrigeration project. Steamfitters Local 602 adds value to our community through its partnerships with local contractors and building owners, all while keeping the focus on improving the lives of its members and their families throughout the DMV. For work that's on time and on budget, go to steamfitters-602.org to schedule your next project. That's steamfitters-602.org. Steamfitters Local 602, changing lives.
Explain your DNA on 10 cases, man.
You're inside the police interrogation room with the alleged Potomac River rapist.
I'm not guilty on any of this stuff.
So calm, so reasonable. Could this be the man who terrorized women for 9 years before murdering a brilliant scientist 2 decades ago? Experience one of the most fascinating true crime podcasts available. Join crime reporter Paul Wagner for Unknown Subject, Season 3 of WTOP's American Nightmare series. Search American Nightmare Podcast on all podcast platforms.
And before we go, joining us in the DMV Download Podcast studio is Jessica Kronzer, digital editor, but now a kind of celebrity in the newsroom because she got Taylor Swift tickets. this morning. Jessica, tell us about this process and how crazy it was.
Well, this was a stressful process from the start, but I am beaming at the moment that I did actually get tickets.
You're sounding really cool.
Yes, I think at the moment I've cooled off, but
Yes.
there was definitely some adrenaline. There were some sweaty palms. I'd say starting around 2 hours before the pre-sale.
Yes.
You got to log into the waiting room 30 minutes ahead of time.
Ugh.
Then you sit and you just watch it tick down.
Yeah.
Tick down. And then eventually it lets you in, and then you see how many people are in front of you. So I had 2,000 people in front of me.
Wow.
So I just had to sit there and watch them all get their tickets. And I don't know which seats they're buying.
Right.
And then eventually I got into where I could pick what ticket I wanted. And I was in that mode for about 40 minutes, I'd say, just trying to find available tickets.
Wow, just clicking. Clicking.
Clicking. And just I would click to buy something and it would give me an error. It gave me an error like over and over again, as I'm sure lots of other people had the same experience.
Totally.
And I was just sitting there wondering if I'd ever get anything at all. I did get through once. I clicked purchase. I put in my bank account information, and then it just 404 error page.
Wiped out.
Wiped out.
Oh my
And I had to start
gosh.
all over again,
No.
not knowing if I was like ahead of anyone else.
Right.
Not knowing,
Kind of a black
where I was going
box.
to
Like
be.
you have no idea what's happening.
Oh, totally. I felt so in the dark.
Whoa.
I was definitely expecting it to be slow, but I don't think I was foreseeing like all the error pages and just having to decide, do I wait this out? Do I refresh?
Yeah.
If I refresh, am I losing it all?
But you got him.
I got them. I got 4 tickets. I'm going to go with my boyfriend and my sister and her boyfriend. So it'll be a
Nice.
little double date action.
Boom. Where are
All
you
the
going? Where are you seeing her?
Swifties. We're going to Philadelphia.
Wow.
So the closest possible show.
Yeah.
Which, I wish she was coming a little closer, but it'll be an adventure. So.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, so this is the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift just released her album Midnights, which was, very well accepted. And along with it, she announced this huge tour. She hasn't gone on tour in years, and there's such pent-up demand that, when she announced this tour, there was just a whole process. You had to sign up for a pre-waiting list, and then I got an email saying you're on the waiting list, but you got that special link that says you're able to go for it. Are you bummed that she didn't come to DC?
I was a little sad she didn't come to D.C. I'm not sure if I should be blaming Dan Snyder of the Commanders. I'm not sure if I should just be blaming the general infrastructure that we don't have a stadium that's quite as large.
Right.
I don't know who to blame. I'm trying not to blame anyone and just be happy that I've got the tickets. I'm in. I'm going to see her. The stress is over now. I just get to plan my adventure to Philly.
Yeah. And for those who, might not be fans themselves and might not understand why Taylor Swift garners such appreciation and love, give us a hint. Why is she so important to you?
I think she has a knack for kind of putting things into words that people struggle to put into words. And I remember being a young girl. I hadn't dated a single guy, maybe at the most had a crush, and I'm sitting there and I'm feeling that heartbreak along with her.
Whoa.
And I think people who've grown up with her like that, it's a very emotional thing, and it is a parasocial relationship. She doesn't know most of us at all. But it certainly feels like we know her because the songs are so personal and we've grown up with her. People even kind of develop these feelings of anger towards her exes because they're like, oh, I know John Mayer did this to her because of this song. And I know Jake Gyllenhaal did this to her. But Harry Styles, he's okay. He's one of the good exes. So people almost get vilified in that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong emotion, both positive and negative, I think, because of it.
And her music has done that so consistently over the years. So she's been along with all these people and you.
Yeah, and even over genres, you have to remember this is someone who started out as a country star, and now she's one of the biggest pop stars, if not the biggest pop star in the world.
Wow.
And I think it's pretty incredible. I'm sitting here wearing a Taylor Swift cardigan, actually.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, my good luck charm this morning. I also listened to one song from each album in honor of the Eras Tour on my way into work.
The ritual worked. The ritual worked. Wow. Well, we're so happy that it worked, and just have a great time when you see her in Philly.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you in getting tickets eventually.
Fingers crossed. Well, that'll do it for us today on the DMV Download. We're brought to you by Steamfitters Local 602. Our music is by Real World. Give us a review and rate this show if you get the chance. Let us know how we're doing. Good or bad, really let us know. You can also find us on social media where we're posting content every day. We're also at dmvdownload.com. The DMV Download podcast is a product of WTOP News. Listen on 103.5 FM in the D.C. area, 107.7 FM in Virginia, 103.9 FM in Frederick, Maryland, online at WTOP.com, and on the WTOP News app. Wish me luck and have a good night.